Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Sports Medicine, offering services for sports injury and recovery, with physicians and athletic trainers who provide treatment for fractures, dislocations, sprains, strains, and other sports-related issues. More information on services at stalphonsus.org. So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.
It's the Connector, Idaho Daily News, Thursday, June 25th. I'm Troy Oppie. Here are today's headlines. Another record quarterly earnings report for Micron Technology and expectations for even more in the future. The city of Boise gets its long-sought-after funding to explore the return of passenger rail. Plus, the city of Ketchum will consider water restrictions at a city council meeting tonight. First this morning, Idaho's largest hospital system is suing the state's former prison health contractor for more than $30 million, saying the company fraudulently filed for bankruptcy while hiding cash. Here's James Dawson to explain.
The federal lawsuit filed by St. Luke's earlier this month accuses executives of Horizon Health and its related companies of shirking its duty to repay creditors under a bankruptcy plan. The hospital says the contractor owes it $31.3 million in underpayments and outstanding claims for providing medical treatment to people incarcerated in Idaho. Court documents allege Horizon of keeping its debts to St. Luke's and other creditors in one company and spinning off the rest of its assets and staff into other entities. At the same time, the lawsuit says its director, Isaac Lefkowitz, drained Horizon's bank accounts and transferred the cash to other companies he oversaw. Lefkowitz was only able to do that, St. Luke says, because he forged financial documents to a third-party company that found Horizon's restructuring to be fair to creditors. Lefkowitz didn't immediately respond to a request for comment and hasn't yet filed a response to the lawsuit. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
And St. Luke's Health System is a financial supporter of Boise State Public Radio. The city of Boise announced it's receiving a roughly $500,000 federal grant to study the return of passenger rail service to southern Idaho. The grant is funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation, which has recently doled out about $47 million for transit studies and project funding tied to the 2021 Infrastructure and Jobs Act passed under the Biden administration. Boise has pursued this type of federal funding for years. The city missed out on a similar grant 3 years ago when the application was mistakenly submitted to the wrong federal program. A city spokesperson at the time said they later realized they were unlikely to win that competitive grant that year anyway, and they learned how to improve future grant requests. Boise, in a statement announcing the new grant this week, says it will allow development of funding and financing strategy for future passenger rail opportunities. Boise's Micron technology continues to take in record revenue as the computing world just can't get enough of the semiconductor chips produced by the company. Micron announced third-quarter earnings yesterday, $41.5 billion. That's nearly double the previous quarter's revenue and 4 times its revenue from this time a year ago. Profit was more than $23 billion. The company has declared a 15-cent per share dividend for the second straight quarter. Revenue is split roughly equally between its cloud computing memory chips, data center semiconductors, and mobile and client business, according to the company, each between $11.5 and $14 billion in revenue last quarter. Chips for cars was another $4.6 billion in revenue for the company. Micron has also increased its upcoming revenue predictions to more than $50 billion for the current quarter. CEO Sanjay Mehrotra predicts memory chips will continue to be in very tight supply through next year with some easing by 2028. He called Micron an industry pioneer for creating strategic sales agreements with memory chip buyers, 18 in total, he says, with agreements lasting through 2030.
The 16 signed agreements represent roughly 20% of our DRAM volume and a third of our NAND volume over this period. These SCAs include 4 very large customers and 3 medium-sized customers.
The agreements could represent half of Micron's revenue in that time, around $100 billion, he said. Investment analysts rewarded Micron by pushing stock price targets higher, and Micron stock has followed, up more than 17% in pre-market trading this morning. The Ketchum City Council today will consider implementing Stage 1 water conservation use restrictions that would limit when residents can irrigate lawn and other landscapes. Watering schedules 3 days a week with no consecutive watering days would be set by address. Even and odd numbers receive different schedules. Additionally, new plantings would be restricted to only drought-tolerant or native plants unless otherwise approved by the city. Restrictions, if enacted, do come with punishments for violations up to a fine or even a misdemeanor charge, according to the Mountain Express, which also reports Ketchum's leaders today are expected to consider renewal and possible increases to the city's local option tax. Tonight's City Council meeting in Ketchum begins at 5:30. We shared yesterday morning that Boise Fire was pleading for responsible fireworks use by the public this 4th of July holiday. The fire department issued reminders that fireworks are banned in city parks and in the Boise foothills. Yesterday afternoon, the city of Eagle announced that fireworks use in the Eagle foothills is also banned, along with fireworks use in unincorporated areas of Ada County. Over 80 firefighting personnel from across southwest Idaho responded late yesterday to a grass fire within Caldwell city limits at the Idaho Materials and Construction Business. That's near Look Lane and Highway 26. The city, in a news release, says firefighters were able to protect threatened structures and there were no injuries reported. The fire impacted approximately 30 acres, burning in what officials say were difficult fuel conditions, including around the Boise River. Crews are expected to remain on site, possibly for several days, to ensure hotspots are fully extinguished. The cause of that blaze is under investigation. The Ada County Coroner's Office has identified the 12-year-old boy who died Saturday after being, quote, submerged in water for a period of time at Trinity Hot Springs in Featherville as Everett Newby. He died after being flown to a Boise hospital, according to a fundraising post published by a family friend. The post called the incident an unexplained drowning accident. Officially, the county says the manner of death is still pending. Athletic Club Boise and the Idaho Food Bank are partnering to host watch parties for the World Cup. Reporter Steffi Puerto brings us into the soccer mayhem with last night's matchup between Mexico and Czechia.
The idea for using sport as something bigger than just kicking goals and winning games. It's building community.
That's Chef Mitsushia. He's the director of community enrichment for Athletic Club Boise. He says this series of gatherings are an opportunity for people to come together and donate food while watching the world's best soccer.
The idea of community is being together, and the soccer community does that so well.
McKenna DeFossis came from Eagle. She says she was excited to watch the game and enjoy the community atmosphere.
We have a huge Mexican community here in Idaho, and I work as an accountant. We've got so many Mexican business owners here, and they're just a huge part of the community. So I feel an affinity towards Mexico.
Mexico knocked Czechia out of the tournament, winning 3-0. There are still 2 more watch parties people can attend. People who bring non-perishable food and then receive a 10% discount at the AC Boise merchandise store. All of the proceeds will be donated to the Idaho Food Bank. Steffi Puerto, Boise State Public Radio News.
And that's your connector for Thursday, June 25th. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking and subscribing as well. That helps other people find this podcast. For more news, you can always check our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. I'm Troy Oppie. I'll catch you again tomorrow morning with another episode. Make it a great day.
Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious, because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.